need to get that Lambo and drive. I was in the lab, you were on my mind, but all I really do is just go. I was in the bando a long, long time. Need to get the Lambo and drive.
Alright, it's Wednesday, and I just had a bunch of different meetings, and just want to give a recap on some of the highlights from them. First one I want to point out was a call I had at 11 o'clock with a gentleman who's running a music startup. He's been working on it for a few years now. And so anyways, I was syncing up with him to see how things were going. One thing he was asking about was like, hey, I feel like you know, I'm overloaded with work. I'm doing everything. He's been working on the development, like actually coding. He's in charge of sales, marketing, you know, and basically as a founder of a company, when you don't have a full team to support you, you have to do everything. First off, I wanted to let him know that I could actually relate to him because one, for the last 2 years of Jacked, had to run it myself. Not, you know, until Mike has jumped on board. So I can definitely understand where he's coming from, where it's like, hey, everything is on him. And then number two, where you're trying to code, you're trying to do marketing, sales. In his case, he's trying to raise money, doing all these different things. It's like, how do you spend your time? And I also can relate to that because in the first 2 years of growing Jacked, I was still coding, you know, 10 hours a day, and then trying to win new business and you know, doing operations and sending out invoices and all this shit, right? And the piece of, like, I wouldn't say advice, but what I told him, I was like, look, there's a couple things. I was like, one, get out of or push on sales and marketing like as hard as possible. Go out and close deals because that will relieve a lot of stress from having to do everything else. And why is that? It's because it's cliche, but the term sales cures all, like it's actually fucking true in a lot of cases, where like if he just sold to a few customers and had hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, all of a sudden he has money to fund hiring you know, us, for example, to help him out, or hiring someone else to help with alleviate some of his other struggles. But without money, he can never do that. He's just going to be in the grind non-stop, and the only way to solve that is by either one, raising money, or two, making money. So that was on that end. And I also told him the other thing was just getting advice or someone outside of the business just to give you that outside point of view and feedback. We hired a coach. Told him it was one of the best things you know, we've done in the last couple months. It's accelerated us months in advance, in my opinion. I don't want to speak for Mike, but I think Mike would tend to agree with that statement. And I think I'm going to introduce this person to our coach, just because at this point I can't imagine not having a coach and running a business. Like, you know, yeah, it's been 4.5 years in, and I also wish I would have gotten a coach sooner. But now that I have one, like, I've been telling everyone, anyone who's running a business, like, yo, you need a coach. Someone who is, in my eyes, the best coach, and this is the only one that I have, but it's someone who is tactical, so actually can help you on the granular, like, business level problems, who has done shit before, isn't just a life coach. Like, you need someone who is going to help you on the business end at this stage in our business. But then there is an aspect of quote-unquote life coach, but it's not really a life coach. It's knowing how to lead people. It's different than a life coach, in my opinion. It's like, look, our coach has helped take a company from, you know, X amount of dollars to 100 million, and growing that team size and that company and that culture. Like, it takes a lot of really good people skills in order to do that, and so we're also getting that from her. So we're getting the people skills and we're getting the business tactical knowledge. And so I told him, you know, he should do that if possible. So that's one meeting. The other meeting I want to highlight today is a meeting I had with a guy named Jay. He runs another agency kind of similar to ours, and he's been doing some really awesome stuff around product sprints. So internally we run our own product sprints. He's also runs his own. And we both are influenced by Google Ventures. That's who kind of like is the leader in product sprints, so the ones who threw it out there. And now what he's done, which I think is really cool, is he has turned it into a workshop. So he runs workshops around the country and now around the world, where he's running product sprint workshops. And I thought that was a really cool, interesting funnel way to get people in. Be like, hey, like, come with us. run a couple-day workshop, learn what we do, how to do it, and then they can potentially turn into customers. So I thought that was really cool. We were also, though, it's always nice talking to other agency owners, because he's trying to figure out, hey, where do I grow my company? Jacked and are relatively similar size and similar stage where we're like, all right, how do we break through and get to 50 people? Like, what does that stage, that growth look like? What do our companies look like then? What type of people do we need? What type of projects do we want? Both of us are thinking, hey, how do we move upstream into taking our way of innovating and building products with startups? Because he does this too. And how do we apply that to a larger company? Like a Fortune 500 company? That becomes very interesting. How do you do things at bigger scale? And then also, him and I both agree that product strategy and UX design is going to be more important in the future. So we're building our organizations to include that and that to be very important. And then lastly, we're also looking ahead in the future and being like, we started talking about virtual reality, augmented reality, voice, a lot of things that I've been talking about, kind of, getting his take on it. Because him and I are both thinking about it like, hey, how do we start working that into our organizations? How do you see the landscape going, etc. So, it was one, it's really nice just to hear about like the struggles that he's going through that I can share, or the strategies that are working or aren't working, and like the future and where things are going. And definitely gonna keep in touch with him in the future, because we're at the same kind of stage, and I think we could learn a lot from each other. So that's really cool. And even though like people always say we're like competitors, like I don't look at it like that at all. It's like, hey, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. How do we collaborate and see how we can share learnings? It's a very like shared environment. Like it doesn't have to be like he wins and I lose. Like why don't we both fucking win? So that's always cool about meeting other agency owners that I've found, is like no one's like trying to like get you or like beat you. It's like, yo, just do your thing and like I'll do mine, and we can both win. But yeah, nothing else of note. But I had a few other meetings, and that is the Wednesday. Culminating for years, but I'll give you the long story short, is that my parents and I had disagreements about directions in life. Primarily being that I want to, be an entrepreneur and start my own company. My parents weren't too thrilled about that, so we always got into big disagreements about that, and it just piled up over time. And it came to a big head, or like a big blow up, the first year of my business, when yep, one is gluten free, right?
One on the bottom is gluten free. It's marked with a Sharpie.
Thank you. Getting that pasta.